Welcome to Stoic in Your Life. Today we're tackling a tough question. Is it better to be alone than wish you were? Society often views loners as misfits, but solitude can be a sanctuary for many. It shields us from the pain of negative social interactions and helps preserve our inner peace. The term lone wolf isn't just a nickname. It's a label that cloaks these individuals in mystery and, often, misunderstanding. In this video, we'll explore what Stoic philosophy says about solitude and why, sometimes, choosing to be alone might just be the wiser choice for a more serene life. Stay tuned as we uncover the virtues of solitude and its place in our modern world. Master your space. Mastering your own space is a profound journey towards personal freedom and self-discovery. Picture this. You wake up alone in the comfort of your own bed. As you step into the kitchen and open the fridge, you're greeted by a selection of foods that speak solely to your taste. Every item a choice you made for yourself. This sense of autonomy extends to every corner of your home. You've meticulously arranged each item to suit your personal style and comfort without compromise. Living alone, you command your daily schedule and activities with the freedom of absolute autonomy. You decide what movie to watch, which book to read, and when to entertain friends or seek solitude. This sovereignty over your personal domain is not just about enjoying the perks of solitude, but also about learning the art of self-reliance and personal accountability. Now, let's consider a common scenario in modern life. Imagine a young professional named Alex who recently moved into his own apartment after years of sharing space with roommates. Initially, Alex felt a pang of loneliness, a whisper of doubt that perhaps the independence he sought was too daunting. However, as days turned into weeks, Alex began to thrive, discovering hobbies he never had the space or time to explore, and inviting friends over when he chose to. Not because of social obligations. His apartment became his sanctuary, a place where he could grow, reflect, and rest without interruption. This shift wasn't just about living alone, it was about mastering his preferences and learning to nurture his well-being on his own terms. So, why do we sometimes fear the very solitude we desire? Is it the daunting silence, the absence of conversation? Or perhaps the societal belief that togetherness equates to happiness? As you reflect on these questions, consider the transformative power of embracing solitude as not just a physical state, but a mental and emotional fortress where you can fortify your strengths and soothe your weaknesses. In mastering your space, the lessons are clear. First, the quality of your life is determined not just by the company you keep, but by the company you are to yourself. Second, embracing solitude can lead to a deeper understanding of your desires and fears, propelling you towards genuine self-improvement. Lastly, the freedom to live as you please is a sacred privilege that can lead to profound personal happiness and fulfillment. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, remember that sometimes it's better to be alone than to wish you were. In solitude, we meet the essential versions of ourselves, stripped of pretense, free from compromise, and open to profound self-discovery. Solitude is sweet. Solitude has its charm, and its value becomes profoundly apparent when we consider the alternative, the often tiresome dance of human interaction. Imagine a world where every interaction is a transaction, where each connection has the potential to uplift but also to drain. It's a reality many of us face daily, whether in our professional environments, educational institutions, or even personal relationships. Have you ever felt exhausted just from the sheer effort of dealing with people? If so, you're not alone in appreciating the sweet refuge that solitude can offer. Consider for a moment the typical workplace. It's rarely the demands of the job itself that fray our nerves. More often, it's the dynamics with colleagues, those who might be ungrateful, arrogant, or simply at odds with our values, that can transform a passion into a burden. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and the Stoic philosopher, vividly captured this sentiment when he lamented having to contend with meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly individuals. His words resonate across centuries, reminding us that the challenges of interpersonal relationships are timeless. It's not just in professional settings where these challenges arise. Schools, supposedly havens of learning and growth, can likewise become battlegrounds when one must navigate the waters of difficult teachers or bullying peers. These environments underscore a harsh truth about human nature. While we are capable of great kindness and support, we also possess the ability to inflict pain and discomfort. The trade-off is clear. The more we engage with others, the more we expose ourselves to the potential negatives of human behavior. This brings us to an intriguing paradox. As social beings, we seek connection, yet in doing so, we often find ourselves longing for solitude. The ancient Taoist sage Zhuangzi illustrated this when he chose the peace of a simple riverside life over the power and prestige of ruling a kingdom. His choice poses a powerful question to each of us. What do we seek in our own lives, and at what cost? Now let me ask you, dear listener, have you ever found yourself wishing for solitude, not out of misanthropy, but as a sanctuary from the complexities of social engagement? How often have you felt that it's better to be alone than to wish you were? The answer might lead you to a deeper understanding of your own needs and boundaries. In our journey through life, embracing moments of solitude can be a form of self-care, a way to recharge and reflect away from the demands of the world. As Jean-Paul Sartre famously said, "If you're lonely when you're alone, you're in bad company." This sentiment invites us to explore the quality of our own presence and to cultivate a peace within that does not rely on the external world. So, as we consider the balance between solitude and society, let us ponder the value of each. Does the peace of solitude enrich you in ways that social engagements do not? Or do you find that despite its challenges, the joy of connection outweighs the occasional discord? Engaging with these questions not only deepens our understanding of solitude, but also enhances our interactions with the world around us, ensuring that when we do choose to connect, it's with a full and present heart. Now, I invite you to reflect on the spaces in your life where solitude might be the balm for the soul you didn't know you needed. How might embracing moments of solitude impact your life, your work, and your relationships? Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences. After all, every journey is unique and every perspective offers new insights. Let's continue to explore together, finding balance in our encounters and peace in our solitude. Being alone is delicious. In a world that often idolizes the hustle of social engagement, there is a profound sweetness found in solitude that many have yet to savor. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom. For it is only when he is alone that he is really free. Penned the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. This idea that to truly enjoy the essence of freedom one must appreciate solitude resonates deeply with those who have tasted the serene peace of being alone. In this space, unbound by the watchful eyes and expectations of society, one finds a rare kind of liberty. The tranquility of solitude allows us to escape societal norms, to live without compromise or the necessity to align our thoughts and actions with others. Imagine the sheer bliss of striding through your home, unencumbered by clothing, expressing opinions unfiltered by political correctness, or indulging in hobbies that others might deem unconventional. In solitude, these freedoms are not just fantasies, but palpable realities. Indeed, it is far better to revel in one's own company, appreciating the multitude of perks that come from stepping outside the constant scrutiny of the public eye, than to endure the discomfort of wishing oneself alone while in the company of others. This sentiment echoes not only through Schopenhauer's words but also in the teachings of the Stoics, who revered the virtues of self-sufficiency and personal peace. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic himself, once observed, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This profound insight underscores the value of finding contentment within rather than seeking it in the tumultuous sea of societal approval. Connecting these timeless teachings to the modern era, where the pressure to be perpetually connected is relentless, poses significant challenges. Many find themselves ensnared in the digital web of social media, where solitude is scarce and privacy is pierced by the public eye. The wisdom of choosing solitude as a haven becomes not only an act of personal freedom, but a radical form of self-care. In the quiet moments alone, one can recalibrate, reflect, and return to the social arena rejuvenated and more aligned with one's true self. The narrative that being alone is better than wishing you were can be a guiding principle for modern men navigating the complexities of life, from ages 30 to 65. As these individuals balance careers, relationships, and personal aspirations, the allure of solitude can serve as a powerful tool to foster a deeper connection with oneself, enhancing resilience and serenity. By embracing moments of solitude, they are not withdrawing from life, but preparing themselves to engage with it more fully and authentically. As you traverse your day-to-day activities, consider integrating pockets of solitude to rediscover your freedoms and pleasures away from the communal gaze. Let these moments be your sanctuary where you can strip away the superfluous and reconnect with your fundamental freedoms. In doing so, you might find that solitude is not just a pleasant escape, but a necessary part of maintaining balance in a world that never stops moving. This understanding, rich with historical wisdom and practical application, is essential for anyone seeking to enrich their life with peace and genuine freedom. Thank you for being part of today's video. Before we proceed, I want to thank you for your participation in our community. Feel free to share your thoughts or simply comment, "I am a newbie," if you're new, or number 1, if you've been around. Your interaction is a great source of motivation for us. Let's continue this journey together, shall we? Some philosophical insights on solitude. In a world that prizes connectivity and social interaction, the art of solitude often seems forgotten. Yet history and philosophy tell us there's undeniable value in spending time alone. Drawing from both Buddhist traditions and the musings of influential philosophers, we find a recurring theme. Solitude serves as a gateway to spiritual and personal growth. Consider the Buddha, a pioneer of introspection, who advocated for solitude as essential to enlightenment. His teachings encourage us to retreat from the incessant buzz of society and reflect inward. Similarly, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a philosopher known for his deep connection with nature, cherished his moments of solitude, finding peace away from the chaos of human affairs. Henry David Thoreau, too, ventured into the woods alone, emerging with insights that would resonate through the ages in his seminal work. One compelling narrative from Buddhism is the Rhinoceros Sutta, which uses the solitary rhinoceros as a symbol for the path to enlightenment. This ancient text teaches us that to walk alone, much like the rhinoceros, is to free oneself from the entanglements of societal expectations and superficial attachments. The sutta eloquently makes the case that solitude allows us to see the world more clearly and fosters individual growth by proposing that our social ties, while meaningful, often carry a weight of expectations that can distract from personal and spiritual development. The narrative of solitude isn't just ancient history, it's highly relevant today. Imagine a modern professional overwhelmed by the demands of a bustling career and an ever-active social media presence. Taking a step back, they decide to spend a weekend alone, disconnected from the digital world, reflecting on personal goals and values. This time alone acts like a reset button, providing clarity and rejuvenating their spirit, much like Thoreau's experiences at Walden Pond. Why might this idea of solitude resonate with you? Perhaps you've felt the burden of constant connectivity or the exhaustion that comes from meeting societal expectations. Solitude offers a break from this. It's not about shunning society, but about finding a balance where one can explore personal aspirations without distraction. This reflection brings us to a crucial point. Solitude is not just about being alone. It's about what we do with that alone time. It's about self-discovery, reflection, and importantly, understanding our place in the world without the noise of constant social interaction. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, let's consider how solitude can empower us. How might your life change if you occasionally walked alone, metaphorically speaking, like the rhinoceros? What insights await you in these moments of quiet reflection? In embracing solitude, we follow in the footsteps of great thinkers and spiritual leaders, finding strength in stillness and wisdom in silence. Let this journey into solitude be one where you discover not loneliness, but a profound connection to your inner self and the world around you. Disentanglement and solitude go hand in hand. Have you ever found yourself in a crowd and felt the overwhelming urge to step back and observe from a distance? Solitude offers us a unique perspective, a quieter space where we can detach from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. In these moments of isolation, we're invited to ponder deeply on a rather intriguing question. What exactly are we conforming to? It's easy to inherit a myriad of rules, customs, traditions, rituals, beliefs, ethics, and values without giving them a second thought. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Why do we follow these paths that have been tread before us? From the vantage point of solitude, much like a spectator on the outskirts of humanity, you might begin to see the humor in what we've taken so seriously when entrenched in it. Taoist sages, renowned for their wisdom, practiced this art of disentanglement meticulously. They chose to step away from the societal stage, turning their backs on its rigid demands to return to something more elemental, the boundless Tao. For them, solitude wasn't just a practice, but a sanctuary, a means to shield themselves from the pervasive influences that sought to shape them. This profound isolation was not about loneliness, but about finding liberation from external pressures and rediscovering their authentic selves. American philosopher Henry David Thoreau exemplified this when he chose to live alone at Walden Pond. In his seminal work, Walden, Thoreau documents his journey toward simplicity and self-sufficiency, embracing the natural world in its unadulterated form. What he uncovered was the sheer delight of solitude, which allowed him to connect more deeply with nature and, importantly, with his inner self. Reflecting on Thoreau's insights and the Taoist philosophy, we might then ask ourselves, is the company we keep nurturing our growth, or does it leave us wishing for solitude? Thoreau wisely noted, "I never found a companion that was so companionable as solitude." This profound statement invites us to consider if our interactions are enriching or draining. In solitude, we find a space where we can be truly honest with ourselves, stripped of the need to perform or conform. So I pose this question to you. When was the last time you took a step back to evaluate the influences in your life? Are you moving through the world as you wish to, or as you believe you're expected to? Perhaps, like Thoreau and the Taoist sages, you will find that in solitude lies the clarity and strength to live a life more aligned with your true self. In disconnecting, we may reconnect more profoundly with what truly matters: our paths, our philosophies, our peace. Let us embark on this contemplative journey together, exploring the depths of solitude and the freedom it can bring. As we ponder on these ideas, let's continue to ask ourselves, engage with our thoughts, and perhaps find in solitude not loneliness, but a profound company with the self. What will you discover in your quiet moments away from the world's noise? People constantly distract each other. In our daily lives, we are perpetually barraged by distractions. Friends, spouses, and coworkers, with their demands for attention, may seem like conduits of meaningful connection, but often they serve as mere sources of disruption. This constant barrage of interaction doesn't stop even when we're alone, thanks to the ever-present digital chatter on our phones. Amid this cacophony, the profound silence of nature, the great mother that nourished our ancestors and will embrace us in the end, gets lost. This ceaseless force, which operates without haste, yet sustains all life, remains largely unnoticed in our hurried lives. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, once remarked, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This idea reflects the serene solitude that nature offers, a respite from the noise of human existence. By reconnecting with the natural world, we gain not just peace but a clearer perspective on what truly matters. For men aged 30 to 65, understanding this can be particularly transformative. It's an age where the clamor of a career, family, and societal expectations can overwhelm the most centered individual. Learning to appreciate solitude and the lessons it brings can be a powerful antidote to the chaos of contemporary life. Yet, embracing solitude does not come naturally to everyone. The fear of loneliness often drives us into the arms of even more distractions. However, there is profound wisdom in choosing meaningful solitude over the company that leaves us wanting. As the saying goes, it's better to be alone than wish you were. This sentiment isn't about shunning social connections, but rather about being selective with whom we spend our time. It's about seeking relationships that complement rather than complicate our lives. In modern life, where the pressure to be perpetually connected is intense, pausing to evaluate the quality of our interactions is crucial. Each moment of solitude is an opportunity to reconnect with our deeper selves and the values we hold dear. This reflective practice is not just about finding quiet, but about rediscovering our direction and purpose. When we clear the clutter of unnecessary social noise, we make room for growth and genuine connections. As Henry David Thoreau pointed out, I never found the companion that was so companionable as solitude. His words echo the Stoic philosophy of self-reliance and finding contentment within oneself rather than in the fleeting distractions of the world. By applying these principles, you can cultivate a life that not only embraces solitude but also values it as a precious resource. It's about understanding that being alone gives you a chance to reset, contemplate, and engage with life in a more meaningful way. For men navigating the complex demands of midlife, this wisdom offers a beacon, guiding them toward a more fulfilled and balanced existence. Therefore, let us not shy away from solitude. Let's embrace it as a tool for self-discovery and a way to return to what is essential. It is in these quiet moments alone that we can hear the whispers of the Great Mother, urging us to slow down and breathe in the beauty of life. By fostering these moments, we not only enrich our own lives but also bring greater depth and authenticity to the relationships we choose to nurture. Solitude allows us to know ourselves. Solitude serves as a powerful tool in discovering and understanding oneself, echoing Friedrich Nietzsche's views on its transformative potential. Nietzsche argued that solitude is not merely about spiritual enlightenment or reconnecting with nature, but a strategic retreat from societal norms plagued by what he termed slave morality. This term describes a passive conformity where individuals, much like sheep, adopt disempowering values imposed by their shepherds or societal leaders, thus perpetuating a cycle of oppression and submission. Nietzsche also critiqued the so-called master morality, which the shepherds embodied, he leading its role in maintaining the same oppressive system. For Nietzsche, the true value of solitude lies in its ability to help us step back from these entrenched social systems to forge our own paths and create personal values that rise above traditional societal frameworks. In essence, solitude is a gateway to self-knowledge, individuality, and authentic living. The merits of solitude are manifold, ranging from seeking spiritual depth and nature connections to breaking free from conventional chains and cultivating unique personal insights. Isn't it revealing, then, that many people cherish their moments of solitude? The adage, "It's better to be alone than wish you were," encapsulates this sentiment perfectly. It prompts us to reflect. Do I yearn for solitude? As an active member of society, is there a part of me that secretly desires to step back and find solace in solitude for any reason? Let's consider a modern scenario. Imagine a young professional named Alex who thrives in the bustling environment of a tech startup. Despite the excitement and constant innovation, Alex feels overwhelmed by the pressure to conform to a specific corporate culture and the incessant social interactions. The expectations to continually socialize, network, and collaborate begin to feel suffocating. Realizing this, Alex decides to take a solo weekend retreat to a quiet cabin in the woods. This break from his routine and the relentless noise of urban life allows him to disconnect, reflect on his personal and professional aspirations, and reconsider what truly matters to him. By the end of his retreat, Alex returns with a renewed sense of purpose and clarity about his boundaries and values, demonstrating the profound impact of choosing solitude over conforming to an unsatisfactory status quo. Now ask yourself, have there been moments when you felt a disconnect between your personal values and the roles you play in the various social arenas of your life? How might embracing periods of solitude help you realign with your true self and the values you hold dear? In closing, solitude is not merely a physical state but a transformative journey that empowers us to explore and assert our individuality. It offers us the clarity to define authentic living on our own terms, distinct from societal expectations. The next time you feel overwhelmed or misaligned with your surroundings, consider taking your own retreat into solitude. Remember, it's better to be alone than to wish you were, for in that space, you might just find yourself. Choosing solitude over discontent. Have you ever found yourself amidst a crowd feeling utterly alone, or caught in the grasp of an intimate relationship, only to yearn for the solitary freedom you once knew? Social interaction, an undeniable human necessity, carries with it a paradoxical blend of benefits and burdens. It's a dance of give and take where, sometimes, what we relinquish outweighs what we receive. This dynamic can transform social engagement from a fulfilling exchange into a draining obligation. But what does it truly cost us? And when does the price become too steep? Let's delve into the essence of our social lives. Consider the joy of a vibrant social circle. It's exhilarating, isn't it? Engaging with friends and diving into lively discussions can fill us with a sense of belonging. However, as we increase our social commitments, we often find our personal time dwindling. Precious moments that could be spent in reflection or spiritual pursuits, like those described in the Rhinoceros Sutta, slip through our fingers. Ralph Waldo Emerson once remarked, "Let us be silent, that we may hear the whispers of the gods." But how can we hear these whispers amidst the cacophony of our social engagements? Furthermore, being part of a group or a belief system offers comfort and community, a shelter in the stormy weathers of life. Yet, this affiliation sometimes demands that we conform, sacrificing the very individuality that thinkers like Nietzsche and Emerson so ardently championed. In striving to belong, do we risk losing ourselves? Henry David Thoreau ventured into the woods because he wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life. His retreat from society was a quest for deeper connection with nature, an element often forsaken in the hustle of human affairs. Taoist philosophy similarly reveres this deep communion with the natural world, suggesting a balance that many of us struggle to maintain. This brings us to a poignant question. Is it better to be alone than to wish you were? The solitude that many fear might actually be a sanctuary, a place where one can embrace true freedom without the constraints of societal expectations. When you're alone, who do you become when the weight of compromise lifts? As we navigate the complexities of social interactions, we must ask ourselves whether these engagements enhance our lives or simply complicate them. Do they bring us joy and growth, or do they leave us longing for the peace that comes with solitude? The cost of a thing is the amount of what I will call life which is required to be exchanged for it, immediately or in the long run. Thoreau wisely noted. When the toll on our spirit and authenticity becomes too great, seeking solitude might not just be a preference but a necessity. What are your thoughts? Have you ever felt more at peace in solitude than in company? How do you balance the demands of social interactions with your personal need for quiet and reflection? In this intricate dance of human connections, we must find our rhythm, determining when to step forward into companionship and when to step back into the comforting embrace of solitude. Each step, each choice, shapes the course of our lives, influencing our journey towards inner peace and fulfillment. Engage with us in the comments below or on our social platforms and share your experiences. How do you navigate the duality of social interaction in your life? The price of solitude. The price of solitude can indeed be steep, particularly when it leans toward the excessive and undesired. Loneliness and isolation represent burgeoning issues in today's society, affecting individuals who crave social interaction but find it elusive. It's a common adage that it's better to be alone than to wish you were. Yet, equally, it might be said that it's preferable to engage socially than to regret solitude. The key lies in finding a delicate equilibrium. In my experience, this balance is far from static. It ebbs and flows with the changing tides of life, shaped by who I am, the circumstances of my life, and my current needs. This requires a commitment to introspection, to daily pose the question, what do I want and need right now? This isn't about dealing in absolutes, but in the nuanced realities of life. Solitude should not be feared, for it can also be a time of rich self-discovery and personal growth. Consider the words of the Stoic philosopher Seneca, who said, "All men's miseries derive from not being able to sit in a quiet room alone." This suggests that solitude, when embraced, can teach us resilience and the value of our own company. Yet the challenge for many lies not just in seeking solitude, but in ensuring it doesn't veer into isolation. Here, the wisdom of knowing oneself and one's limits is crucial. This kind of self-knowledge enables us to distinguish between beneficial solitude that refreshes and isolates loneliness that withers. Moreover, the act of balancing solitude with social interaction is a dynamic art. It is essential to recognize when the scales tip too far in one direction. Engaging with others not only fulfills basic human needs for connection but also enriches our perspective, helping us to grow and learn. Ralph Waldo Emerson poignantly noted, "The only way to have a friend is to be one." This emphasizes the active role we must take in cultivating relationships that are reciprocal and rewarding. Therefore, the advice to my listeners, particularly those navigating the complexities of middle age, is to cultivate a lifestyle that allows for meaningful solitude without cutting off the potential for fruitful relationships. As you consider your own life, think about how you can actively balance your need for quiet reflection with the invigorating presence of others. Evaluate your current social interactions and solitude, adjusting as necessary to enhance your well-being. In doing so, remember that life is a mosaic of experiences, and each piece, whether spent in quiet contemplation or shared with others, adds invaluable depth to your existence. Healthy social interaction. Navigating the delicate balance between solitude and social interaction is a perennial quest for many of us. Like you, my desire for alone time fluctuates, as does my yearning for company. This ongoing process of self-examination is crucial in maintaining a healthy equilibrium between being by oneself and engaging with others. Indeed, staying true to oneself not only enriches our relationship with solitude, but also enhances our interactions with people around us. It's true, feeling lonely can be profoundly uncomfortable, but consider this: is being surrounded by others, yet wishing to be alone, any better? Often we find ourselves in social settings out of obligation, where our presence is physical but our spirits are miles away. It's in these moments that the sage advice comes to mind. It's better to be alone than wish you were. This statement isn't just a throwaway line, it's a profound observation about human well-being. Addressing loneliness or the need for solitude requires courage. It means facing the discomfort of admitting that you are either unhappy with your current social situation or that you need a break from the noise of your social circle. It involves recognizing when relationships are more draining than nurturing and having the bravery to step back. Particularly in toxic or abusive scenarios, seeking solitude, or at least separation from the harmful influences, is not just beneficial, it's necessary. Are you willing and able to make that step? Emily, a project manager in a bustling tech company, often found herself overwhelmed by her packed social calendar. Despite her success and vibrant social life, she felt an unshakable sense of emptiness. The turning point came during a routine team dinner, where amidst the laughter and lively conversations, she realized she'd rather be anywhere but there. This epiphany led her to make a conscious decision to prioritize her need for solitude. Over the next few months, Emily declined non-essential gatherings, dedicating time to solo hobbies and introspection. The result? A more fulfilled, energized, and contented Emily, who could enjoy social interactions on her terms without feeling drained. Now ask yourself, have you ever been in Emily's shoes? Have you ever felt the relief of saying no to social obligations that don't bring you joy or peace? Remember that choosing solitude over unsatisfying company is not about shunning social interaction. Rather, it's about recognizing what makes you thrive. It's about understanding that real connection with others comes from a place of personal fulfillment and self-awareness, not from societal expectations or pressure. The courage to choose quality over quantity in your relationships is not only a step towards personal happiness, but also towards genuine and rewarding social interactions. As you navigate the complex world of social ties, always consider what brings you real joy and fulfillment. After all, isn't finding true happiness and contentment the ultimate goal? Many people fear being alone. Many of us harbor a deep-seated fear of solitude. It's an understandable concern. On the surface, being alone can seem starkly daunting. But let's consider this. If all your basic needs, such as nourishment, shelter, and security, are sufficiently met, what truly is there to fear? Imagine for a moment that you've mastered the art of enjoying your own company, of finding peace in the quiet moments spent by yourself. In achieving this, you realize something profound. The less you depend on others for your emotional well-being, the less influence they hold over you. This newfound autonomy is a powerful tool enabling you to gracefully distance yourself from those who do harm, be they abusers, narcissists, or merely toxic influences in your life. The adage, "It's better to be alone than to wish you were," captures a timeless truth. In solitude, there is a fortitude often believed to be borrowed from the company of others. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, once remarked, "All men's miseries derive from not being able to sit in a quiet room alone." Therein lies a profound observation. The discomfort we often feel when alone is not due to solitude itself, but rather from our reluctance to confront our own thoughts and feelings without distraction. So I ask you, have you ever found yourself in company yet wishing you were alone? What does that tell us about the quality of those interactions and, more importantly, about our own state of mind? Embracing solitude can transform it from a condition to be feared to a state to be cherished. It allows us the space to reflect, grow, and most importantly, to understand ourselves deeply. In this understanding, we find a resilience that is not reliant on the presence of others, but is a testament to our own inner strength. As we navigate through life's challenges, consider this. Each moment of solitude is an opportunity to build a stronger, more self-reliant version of ourselves. It is in these moments that we can reflect on who we are, who we want to be, and how we can get there. The journey of self-discovery is perhaps the most personal adventure one can undertake, and often, it requires a certain degree of solitude. Now, reflecting on your own experiences, how has solitude shaped or redefined your perspective? Have you discovered strengths or passions within yourself that you were previously unaware of? Engaging with these questions not only deepens your understanding of self, but also connects you with the universal human experience of growth and self-realization. In conclusion, fearing solitude is akin to fearing the very process that forges our strongest, most authentic selves. It is not the absence of others that we fear, but perhaps the presence of our unexplored thoughts and untested strengths. Let us then embrace solitude with the wisdom of the Stoics, who teach us that in quietude there lies not loneliness, but the potential for self-discovery and empowerment. As we move forward, let us not shun those quiet moments, but seek them out, cherish them, and use them to craft a life that is rich with self-awareness and independence. Being alone is an opportunity for the brain to recharge. Solitude holds a power often misunderstood in our hyper-connected world. The notion that it's better to be alone than to wish you were speaks volumes about the enriching solitude that frees us from the cacophony of everyday life. This idea echoes the sentiments of the Stoic philosopher Seneca, who once said, "All your leisure without your own approval is occupation." This reflects the importance of embracing alone time as not just a pause but a significant chapter of self-discovery and personal development. Indeed, the value of solitude has been supported by modern psychology. Keith Sawyer, a psychologist from Washington University, conducted a study revealing that solitude can significantly enhance human imagination. It's a striking insight given the common belief that brainstorming in groups is the best way to generate ideas. However, Sawyer's research indicates that individuals working alone often come up with more, and occasionally better, ideas than their collaborating counterparts. This is not to undermine the value of teamwork, but to highlight the unique benefits of solitary work, where the mind can wander unrestricted. The transformative potential of solitude extends beyond mere idea generation. Being alone, especially in the calming embrace of nature, allows for an emotional outpour that can rarely be achieved in company. In these moments of quiet, away from the demands and distractions of everyday life, the mind finds a unique peace that fosters deep focus and creativity. It's akin to what the poet William Wordsworth described when he spoke of being lost in a sea of noble thoughts, surrounded by nature and detached from societal noise. In today's fast-paced environment, carving out moments for solitude can seem like a luxury, yet it is almost a necessity for mental health and creative rejuvenation. Solitary moments provide an opportunity to reflect on personal goals, align actions with true passions, and recalibrate one's path without external influence. This is not about isolation, but about finding a balance where solitude serves as a powerful tool for personal and professional growth. Moreover, in these quiet moments, we can confront our true selves and the decisions we make, building resilience and a clearer vision for our future. As Thomas Mann poignantly stated, solitude gives birth to the original in us, to beauty unfamiliar and perilous, to poetry. Therefore, embracing solitude can transform simple quiet into a wellspring of innovation and self-enlightenment. This understanding and acceptance of solitude resonate particularly well with men aged 30 to 65, who often bear the brunt of societal expectations to continuously engage socially and professionally. The pressure to constantly be on can lead to burnout and a disconnection from one's own needs and desires. Embracing periods of solitude can help mitigate these pressures by providing space to breathe, think, and realign with one's values and ambitions. To integrate solitude into modern life effectively, it is essential to be intentional about it. Designating time for solitude amidst the daily hustle isn't merely about being alone. It's about enriching your inner life to enhance your outer engagements. This might look like scheduled walks, solo hobbies, or simply quiet mornings spent in contemplation. The key is to see these moments not as time lost but as valuable investments in one's mental and emotional well-being. In conclusion, the ancient wisdom of Stoicism and the insights from modern psychology both suggest that there is profound strength in solitude. It is a state where we can recharge, reflect, and reignite our creative spirits without the fear of missing out. For men navigating the complex waters of midlife, recognizing the value of this time alone can be the first step towards a more fulfilled and balanced existence. Remember, it's better to be alone than to wish you were, for in that alone time you are truly free to meet yourself. Being alone is an opportunity to enjoy a short trip during a tiring work week. Embracing solitude can transform what seems like an ordinary day off into a rejuvenating retreat from the hustle of the work week. Imagine you're someone who, regardless of being introverted or extroverted, craves a break from the relentless demands of modern life. Picture yourself planning to spend your day off sitting on your porch, lost in a good book with a cup of coffee in hand. Yet, in reality, these precious hours off often involve hunting for a cozy corner in a bustling cafe, laptop in tow, eyes glued to the screen as emails flood in and meeting notifications pop up. Plans with colleagues might intrude, filling every gap meant for peace with chatter and schedules. It's seldom that one finds a moment of genuine tranquility amidst such chaos. Sherry Borg-Carter, a renowned psychologist, emphasizes the profound impact of spending time alone. She articulates that it's in these rare moments of solitude that we truly allow ourselves to pause and breathe. The mind relaxes, everyday anxieties melt away, and the fertile ground of our creativity begins to sprout new ideas. Achieving this state isn't a distant dream but a possible reality, if we dare to reclaim our time and assert that our lives are indeed our own. In a world that praises constant effort and hustle, recognizing when to step back and recharge is crucial. Contrary to popular belief, being alone is vastly different from feeling lonely. Individuals who cultivate solitude frequently discover they are more independent and self-reliant. This comfort with being alone not only strengthens them, but also enhances qualities like decisiveness, resilience, and compassion, traits that lighten life's burdens and enrich our interactions with others. The beauty of enjoying one's own company is that it builds a foundation for appreciating and loving others more deeply. Consider the story of Alex, a mid-level manager in a bustling marketing firm. Like many, Alex found himself overwhelmed, juggling endless tasks and meetings. The epiphany came one weekend when a canceled team outing left him unexpectedly alone. Initially restless, Alex decided to disconnect from all digital devices for the day. That day of solitude turned into a weekly ritual where Alex discovered not just rest but a renewed zest for his work and a clearer perspective on his relationships. This practice of embracing solitude didn't erase the challenges of his job, but it equipped him to handle them with a renewed sense of vigor and clarity. How often do you find yourself longing for a moment to just be in today's fast-paced world? Could setting aside time for solitude help you recharge and refocus? In conclusion, the value of solitude extends far beyond mere respite from our daily grind. It fosters independence, nurtures creativity, and deepens our capacity for empathy. It teaches us that being alone need not be feared, but rather embraced as a powerful ally in our quest for a fulfilled and balanced life. Let us remember that in the quiet moments of solitude, we find the strength to face the world anew. So the next time you find yourself alone, cherish it as a precious gift, a true opportunity to recharge and rediscover the joys of your own company and the world around you. It's better to be alone than to stubbornly love someone and still end up alone. In a world where companionship is often glorified as the ultimate fulfillment, it's worth considering a profound truth. Sometimes, it's better to be alone than to wish you were. Have you ever felt the societal pressure to find a partner to grab any hand that extends towards you, without truly wondering if it's the right fit? This urgency can cloud our judgment, pushing us into relationships that may not serve us well. From a young age, many are told that finding a partner is one of life's primary missions. Our loved ones, with the best intentions, often urge us to settle down, hoping we'll find a peaceful haven in the arms of another. But what happens when that embrace feels more like a restraint? As George Washington once wisely noted, "It is better to be alone than in bad company." This rings especially true when the alternative is a partnership where one feels misunderstood, lonely, and incomplete. The essence of love should enhance our happiness, not compromise it. When we settle out of fear of being alone, we risk enduring the loneliest kind of loneliness, the type that occurs in the presence of another. Consider this. Is it worth being in a relationship where you feel more alone than when you are by yourself? Loving someone should not be an act of desperation, but a celebration of mutual understanding and joy. When love becomes a battleground of half-hearted commitments and unmet needs, it can lead to a simmering pain, a lingering feeling that neither of you can move forward or let go. This is a crucial point to ponder. If the presence of someone else in your life leads to personal misery, could solitude be a sweeter choice? Opting for solitude doesn't necessarily mean embracing loneliness. On the contrary, choosing to be alone can be a path to personal liberation. embracing your interests, living free from the judgments and expectations of others, and laughing in the sheer joy of being unapologetically you. Oscar Wilde famously said, "To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist. That is all." Why exist in a half-hearted relationship when you can truly live, relishing each moment of your independence? Being alone allows you to explore life's offerings on your own terms, discover your true desires, and cultivate a peace that only comes from within. It's not about advocating for a selfish, solitary existence, but rather about recognizing the value of being complete on your own before choosing to share your life with someone else. Why rush into commitments when there are so many experiences to savor solo? I urge you, especially if you're young and feel the world pushing you towards a relationship, to pause and reflect. Are you seeking companionship because it truly adds value to your life, or because you fear the stigma of being alone? Remember, being single is not a status, but a word that describes a person who is strong enough to live and enjoy life without depending on others. As you navigate these thoughts, consider the irreversibility of time. Each moment you live in authentically is a moment lost. Why not make each moment count, living fully and joyously in a way that aligns with your deepest truths? How might your life change if you choose to prioritize your happiness over societal expectations? Reflect on this, and perhaps you'll find that the most beautiful moments often come when we have the courage to follow our own path, whether it leads us to others or back to ourselves. In every relationship, compatibility is essential for long-term development. Therefore, if you choose the wrong person and go in the wrong direction, living single and loving yourself can actually make you happier. So, what are the reasons that make you prefer staying single over loving the wrong person? 8 reasons. It's better to be single than to love the wrong person. 1. Life is too short to love wrong. Everyone yearns to experience love deeply and authentically at least once in their lifetime. Yet, in the haste to escape loneliness, it's crucial not to merely cling to someone else's hand or shoulder. Doing so might lead you right back into heartache. Imagine the discomfort of wearing shoes that don't fit. That's comparable to the misalignment felt when loving the wrong person. Such a relationship squanders your emotional energy needlessly. Consider the brevity of life. It's far too short for misplaced affections. Time is a precious commodity, and it's not wise to spend it heavily on numerous fleeting connections. If you haven't met the right person yet, resist the urge to rush into a relationship merely to fill a void. This can only lead to mutual dissatisfaction and a waste of valuable time for both parties involved. Now let me share a story that resonates with many. Picture Alex, a diligent and driven marketing consultant in her late 20s. After a string of unsuccessful relationships, she felt the societal pressure to settle down and feared ending up alone. So when she met Brian, who was decent, but with whom she felt no genuine connection, she ignored her doubts. They quickly moved in together, hoping that their lukewarm feelings would evolve into deep affection. Months passed and their interactions became more a function of habit than of heartfelt connection. One evening, while working late on a new campaign, Alex had a realization. She was investing her time in a relationship that mirrored her professional projects, meticulously planned, but lacking passion. This epiphany prompted her to reconsider what she truly sought in a relationship. She decided to step back from her life with Brian, embracing the solitude that she had feared so much. In her newfound space, Alex rediscovered her love for painting, a passion she had sidelined for years. Have you ever found yourself in a similar situation, prioritizing comfort over genuine happiness? Reflect on this, and ask yourself whether the relationships you maintain are truly enriching your life or merely filling a silent void. In conclusion, the key takeaway here is straightforward yet profound. Cherish your time and emotional energy as invaluable resources. They are the essence of your being and should only be shared with those who resonate deeply with your spirit. In the journey of life, Being alone can sometimes lead you to rediscover your passions and the core of who you truly are. Remember, it's better to walk alone in the right direction than to walk with someone in the wrong one. What steps will you take to ensure your emotional investments are wise and fulfilling? 2. Difficulty in expressing emotions. Navigating the intricate landscape of relationships, it's vital to recognize when the connection might be more harmful than beneficial. Have you ever considered the profound impact of being with the wrong person, especially when it comes to expressing your emotions? As you listen today, reflect on the phrase, "Love is never sufficient if it's only sincere on one side." This sentiment echoes the wisdom found in a poignant quote by Maya Angelou. Never make someone a priority when all you are to them is an option. Consider a scenario where you find yourself forsaking potential relationships that could bring you joy and growth, all for the sake of a partnership where your feelings aren't reciprocated. Imagine a day when you've turned down other opportunities for a significant other who, on the following day, does not show the same commitment. This disparity can lead to a persistent lack of peace and a feeling that your emotional needs are perpetually unmet. When you're with someone who aligns with your values and emotional rhythm, expressing your feelings becomes effortless. Your ability to share emotions and how you choose to convey them not only deepens your connection but also acts as a barometer of your mutual interest and understanding. In stark contrast, being with someone who isn't a good match can stifle your desire to share your true self. This suppression can manifest as a reluctance to express feelings, or at times, a confusion about how to even begin to express what you feel. Why might it be better to stay single rather than to love the wrong person? When peace is elusive in a relationship, it can seep into other areas of your life, causing a cascade of dissatisfaction and self-doubt. Staying single in such instances provides a sanctuary of self-acceptance and the freedom to explore relationships that resonate more deeply with who you are and aspire to be. As we delve deeper into this topic, ask yourself, how have your past relationships influenced the way you view your current emotional expressions? Are you holding back because you fear the vulnerability that comes with unreciprocated love? Or are you forging ahead, continuously seeking a connection that honors your sincerity and openness? Your journey through these questions is not just about critiquing past decisions, but about illuminating paths forward that enhance your emotional well-being and interpersonal relationships. 3. Unable to fill the void of loneliness. Many venture into the realm of dating with the hope that finding a partner will cure their feelings of emptiness. However, this expectation can lead to a painful realization when the chosen partner fails to understand or empathize with their deepest needs. As Seneca wisely put it, one who is everywhere is nowhere. When you're with someone who doesn't align with your emotional and intellectual wavelengths, you might find yourself more alone than ever. This loneliness manifests most sharply in the inability to share thoughts and feelings openly. Safety and security in communication are foundational to any strong relationship. Without these, every attempt at intimacy can feel like speaking into a void, with your words and emotions echoing back unacknowledged. This scenario exacerbates the loneliness because, on the surface, it appears you are not alone. Yet, the essential connection that validates and understands your individual experience is sorely missing. Here, the Stoic philosophy offers a poignant reminder. External solutions are temporary and often ineffective at addressing internal voids. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Applying this to our modern lives, it becomes evident that a fulfilling existence cannot rely solely on the presence of another. Instead, we must cultivate an inner sanctuary of contentment and self-sufficiency. This approach does not undermine the value of relationships but emphasizes the importance of ensuring they are the right ones. In the quest for companionship, it's vital to choose partners who resonate with our spirits and enrich our lives, rather than those who merely fill a superficial gap. The famous saying, "It is better to be alone than in bad company," attributed to George Washington, rings especially true in this context. Engaging with the wrong person can often lead us to compromise our happiness, values, and, most critically, our authenticity. For men aged 30 to 65, who may have already experienced various forms of relationships, it is essential to recognize the signs of a mismatch early. Whether you are re-entering the dating scene after a previous partnership or you are continuing your search for a meaningful connection, remember that real fulfillment comes from a relationship that offers genuine understanding and mutual respect. As you navigate through these complex dynamics, keep in mind that your well-being and emotional health should always take precedence over societal expectations or the fear of solitude. In conclusion, as you listen to this message, let it be a guiding principle that enriches your understanding of personal happiness and relationship dynamics. The pursuit of a partner should not be about escaping loneliness through any means possible, but about enhancing your life with the right person who understands and shares your journey. By embracing the wisdom of Stoicism, you are reminded that the strength you seek externally must first be fortified within. 4. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be happy. This statement might seem simple, yet it carries profound implications for how we conduct our relationships. Happiness, a fundamental right for everyone, should be nurtured and protected. When you find yourself entangled in a relationship with the wrong person, your right to happiness is compromised. Disagreements and incompatibilities in such relationships can be draining. Think about it. When your days and nights become marathons of emotional debates and misunderstandings, exhaustion becomes your constant companion. This relentless tiredness leaves little room for joy. How can you be truly happy if your energy is perpetually sapped by someone who isn't right for you? Consider the story of Jamie, a young graphic designer who found herself in a tumultuous relationship with Marco, someone whose priorities and values clashed sharply with her own. Despite their shared interests in art and music, their communication styles were worlds apart. Marco was often dismissive of Jamie's career ambitions and preferred a more spontaneous lifestyle that frequently undercut Jamie's need for structure and stability. Over time, Jamie realized that the relationship left her more drained than elated, consuming her emotional and physical energy and leaving her little room to pursue her passions or even to enjoy the simple pleasures of life. After much contemplation, Jamie decided to prioritize her own well-being and ended the relationship. The transformation was profound. She rediscovered her zest for life and reconnected with her creative talents, leading to a significant breakthrough in her career. Jamie's story underscores a powerful lesson. Choosing personal happiness and well-being often requires tough decisions, but the rewards can redefine your life. So what does this mean for you? Have you ever felt overshadowed by the exhausting demands of a mismatched relationship? How did it affect your pursuit of happiness? Engaging in this self-reflection can be the first step toward recognizing the importance of being with someone who truly complements and enhances your life, rather than diminishing it. Ultimately, choosing the right person isn't just about romantic fulfillment. It's about preserving your own happiness and honoring your self-worth. Remember, being alone will always be more fulfilling than being in a relationship where you feel incomplete. As you reflect on your own experiences and consider your future choices, ask yourself, are you willing to settle for partial happiness, or will you hold out for a relationship that truly makes you feel whole and appreciated? The lesson here is clear. Never underestimate the importance of your own happiness. It's not just a nice to have, it's your right and it's essential to your overall well-being. 5. Not drowning in regret. Choosing to remain single rather than committing to the wrong person might just be one of the wisest decisions you could make in your life. Have you ever considered the sheer relief and peace that comes from not being mired in regret over a relationship that drains more than it nourishes? Imagine waking up every day, not burdened by the weight of wondering whether you're pleasing someone unworthy of your efforts or entrusting your life and future to someone who simply doesn't align with your aspirations and values. When you commit to someone, it's like signing an invisible contract that says this person will be your partner, not just for days or months, but potentially for life. Oscar Wilde once said, Never love anyone who treats you like you're ordinary. Loving the wrong person can often lead to trying to mold yourself into someone you're not, just to fit the expectations of someone who may not truly value what makes you unique. This endeavor to please can be exhausting and ultimately unfulfilling. Why choose to live a life where your true self is suppressed or unappreciated? Regret is a powerful emotion and a frequent companion to unsatisfactory relationships. It's the persistent gnaw of questioning past decisions. Why did I do that? How could I have been different? This cycle of regret can lead to a range of negative feelings, from disappointment to profound anger and even a desire for revenge. These emotions are toxic, not just to your mental health, but also to your physical well-being and your future relationships. Now, let me ask you, why should you settle for this kind of existence? Can you imagine a life where instead of constant doubt and regret, you experience growth, self-discovery, and tranquility? It's important to recognize that being alone does not equate to loneliness. In fact, it often provides the space and time necessary to better understand yourself and what you truly need in life and in love. As Jean-Paul Sartre wisely noted, if you are lonely when you're alone, you are in bad company. Committing to the right person should enhance your life, not complicate it with regret and dissatisfaction. By choosing to stay single rather than being with the wrong person, you empower yourself to avoid these pitfalls. You give yourself the opportunity to focus on personal development, to build resilience, and to cultivate a life that feels fulfilling on your own terms. So I encourage you to think deeply about this. Are you holding on to a relationship that doesn't bring you peace and growth? Could your fear of being single be clouding your judgment about what is truly best for you? Remember, the choice to remain single until the right person comes along is not just about avoiding the negative, but about opening yourself up to the positive experiences that await when you are ready and open to them. Embracing singleness as a choice rather than a default state can lead to a richer, more vibrant life filled with opportunities that a wrong partnership might otherwise obscure. It's about setting the stage for a future that resonates with your deepest values and aspirations. As you navigate these decisions, consider the wisdom of staying true to oneself and the freedom that comes with it. After all, in the words of Mandy Hale, it's better to be single with high standards than in a relationship settling for less. In conclusion, being single gives you the liberty to live life on your terms, to learn who you are in your purest form, and to invest in yourself until the time is right. Life is too short to live in the shadow of regret and dissatisfaction. What steps can you take today to move closer to a life filled with self-respect and true contentment? 6. You have freedom. In our exploration of why it's often preferable to remain unattached rather than entangle ourselves with the wrong partner, we uncover a profound truth that resonates deeply with those who cherish their autonomy. Freedom is not merely a state of being, it's a way of living. Stoic philosopher Epictetus once wisely stated, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." This wisdom echoes through the ages, reminding us that the liberty to make our own choices is invaluable, especially when contrasted with the constraints of an incompatible relationship. Consider the scenario many face today, where the scars of past hurts lead them to prize their single status over the risks of potential mismatch. The weariness that comes from previous emotional wounds makes the allure of independence far more attractive. Engaging in a relationship with someone who doesn't align with your values or life goals can divert your path, not just emotionally, but in your pursuits and passions. The effort it takes to find common ground, if it ever comes, often feels like a relentless trial. Moreover, to stay true to oneself in a mismatched partnership is akin to seeking sunlight in a cave. Possible, but arduous. Why should one endure such self-compromise? Life is too precious to be spent in the shadow of another's expectations. As you carve out a life on your terms, every decision, from the simple joy of choosing your next meal to the profound freedom of traveling solo, is yours and yours alone. It is here, in these moments of choice, that many find the true essence of joy that comes from being single, rather than anchored to the wrong person. This ethos is not just about avoiding the negative but embracing the positive opportunities that solitude can offer. It's about creating a life where every choice reflects your individuality and desires. In the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Applying this to modern life, embracing singleness as a choice can be a profound act of self-respect. It allows for personal growth, self-discovery, and the peace that comes from not compromising one's values. As you navigate through life, remember that the choice to remain single should never be seen as a fallback but as a strategic decision that can lead to a fuller, more liberated existence. Whether through the daily tranquility of a routine that serves only your needs or the larger adventures that require no negotiation, this path offers a clarity and peace that a fraught partnership never will. In the end, knowing and loving oneself sets a foundation of contentment that no external relationship can destabilize. 7. Having to explain too much. In the vast landscape of relationships, there's a unique challenge that surfaces when emotional or intellectual wavelengths don't align. Picture this common scenario. You share a thought or express a feeling, only to be met with a puzzled look from your partner. This reaction triggers an exhaustive cycle where every conversation requires an explanation, and each explanation feels like an uphill battle. It's like pouring water over duckweed. No matter how much effort you put in, it seems to float away untouched, leaving you feeling unfulfilled and exhausted. This continuous loop of explaining, without mutual understanding, can become a major source of frustration. Consider the story of Emily, a vibrant software developer whose passion for technology is matched only by her love for indie music and vintage film cameras. She found herself in a relationship with Mark, who, while caring and attentive, had little interest in her tech projects and even less in her artistic pursuits. Their evenings together, which could have been filled with shared discoveries and mutual enthusiasm, instead turned into monologues. Emily found herself over-explaining the basics of her day at work or the features of her latest camera find, only to see Mark's attention drift. The lack of common ground led to a palpable disconnection, prompting Emily to reflect on the energy she was investing in trying to cultivate common interests where none existed. Now, why is it crucial to recognize these signs early on in a relationship? When you find yourself consistently struggling to bridge the gap between your world and that of your partner's, it may indicate a deeper lack of compatibility. It's essential to ask yourself, are you seeking validation and understanding that simply isn't there? This reflection isn't about fault-finding, but about assessing the fundamental dynamics of your partnership. Navigating through such a relationship can be mentally taxing and emotionally draining. It often leads to a one-sided effort, where the joy of sharing life's experiences becomes overshadowed by the labor of explaining them. This imbalance can stifle personal growth and diminish your happiness, turning what should be a partnership into a solitary struggle. So what are the key takeaways for you, especially if you find yourself in a similar situation as Emily? First, it's important to recognize the value of intellectual and emotional compatibility in a relationship. While differences can enrich a relationship, fundamental disconnects in understanding and interest can lead to frustration. Secondly, remember that being single is a position of strength, not a placeholder until you find someone. It's better to be alone and open to the right person than to exhaust yourself with the wrong one. Lastly, fostering a relationship where both partners feel understood and connected is more fulfilling and far less exhausting than one where you're constantly having to bridge a gap. Reflect on this. Are you pouring too much of yourself into trying to be understood rather than being with someone who inherently understands you? How might your life change if you chose to wait for a relationship that truly complements your intellect and emotions? Your answer might just redefine how you view your current relationship or how you approach future ones. 8. Being careful with words. One of the greatest joys in finding true love is the freedom it brings, the liberty to express oneself openly and without reservation. When you're with the right person, conversations flow naturally. There's no need to filter your thoughts or measure your words. This sense of comfort comes from their deep understanding and acceptance, traits that nurture a healthy, supportive relationship. They don't just hear you, they listen, offering a judgment-free zone where you are encouraged to be your most authentic self. But what happens when the connection lacks this profound understanding? Communication shifts dramatically. Instead of a safe harbor, each exchange becomes a minefield where words must be chosen with the utmost care. The absence of empathy and tact can make you overly cautious, transforming what should be joyful exchanges into exhausting efforts. This pressure not only stifles your ability to communicate genuinely, but can also lead to feelings of isolation and fatigue within the relationship. Now you might wonder, why stay with someone who doesn't truly get me? It's a valid question, and the answer lies in recognizing your own worth. Oscar Wilde once remarked, "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." If you find yourself modifying your speech, curbing your enthusiasm, or dimming your light just to fit into someone else's ideal, ask yourself if this is the romance you envisioned. Is the fear of loneliness so overwhelming that settling for a mismatched partnership seems like the only viable option? Consider this. The right person is out there. A partner who will cherish your thoughts and share in your dreams, making you feel loved and valued for who you truly are. Why waste precious moments of your life in a relationship that feels more like a burden than a blessing? Engage with me here. Have you ever felt the relief of being understood completely by someone? How did that impact your sense of self and the quality of that relationship? Reflecting on these questions can guide you in your journey toward not just any relationship, but the right one, where you can thrive and be your truest self. Remember, it's better to be single and open to the possibility of genuine love than to be tethered to a relationship that doesn't bring you joy. As we wrap up today's exploration on the virtues of solitude, I invite you to consider the profound insights shared in this video. Whether it's for spiritual enlightenment, a deepened connection with nature, or simply the liberation from societal constraints, solitude offers a unique path to personal growth and happiness. It's clear from our discussion that being alone can be not just a necessity, but a delightful choice, empowering us to master our own lives and values. I encourage you to reflect on how solitude might benefit your own life. Are there moments when you find yourself longing for peace away from the noise of the crowd? How can embracing moments of solitude help you recharge and gain clarity? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's continue this conversation and help each other discover the strength and joy that can come from being alone. Remember, it's better to be alone and at peace with oneself than to wish you were. Subscribe to Stoic in Your Life for more insights, and don't forget to hit the like button if you found this discussion enlightening. Together, let's embrace the power of solitude to enrich our lives.